Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Tesla Life number 111. All ones. And this, if you're unaware, is our second go around for show 111. Because last week we found out that it just wasn't working. Everything went and dropped off. So we had to go back to the drawing board and find ourselves another way to actually make this work.
Hey, Russell.
And Russell, you're sharing the screen. We're watching you. Okay.
Oh, I'm not supposed to be sharing the screen. I thought I killed it. I went to check on the audio recording.
And it's going along, it looks like, anyway.
It does. Yeah. Okay.
So today is the 14th of August, 2019. And with us today is our panel, Mr. Frost at the controls, as you just saw. How are you today, sir?
Hey, Mark. Happy birthday to you. That's all the singing you get out of me, okay? That's all.
Happy birthday, sir.
That's enough.
It's your show. You know I had to embarrass you at some point, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
We got Tony a week later, so I mean,
yeah.
The only one we missed was me.
Yeah, it was meant to be, Mark. It was meant to be. Show 111, number 2.
Yeah, version.
How many candles are in his cake?
Yeah.
So to everybody out there, we're sorry about the chat room. We're gonna do something. We're gonna get a chat room back somehow, but we've got to figure out all this other stuff. We'll get there. Hang in there with us, please.
Also with us tonight, Mr. Casey Green joins us from another different location.
Another undisclosed location.
and it's fuzzy today. It's got a fuzzy background, so yes. We really can't. It looks like you really are on the.
Yes.
Except you're supposed to be fuzzy, not the background. They got it backwards.
I'm the informant. So next week we'll be in yet another location.
There we go. Casey keeping up with it, going just across the country. One hotel at a time, moving his way across the northeast or central Atlantic region.
Central Atlantic at this point, yes.
Also with us tonight, Mr. Evan Fusco joins us from South Central Missouri.
South Central Missouri, and I feel it's going to be my responsibility as a physician to stop Russell from choking again tonight. So.
Where did that come from?
I'm here all night, kids. I'm here all night.
Embarrassment strikes again, man.
I've never seen an embarrassed Russell before.
I think you have to take a drink right now. Everybody has to take a drink. Okay?
All I have is tea. Does that count?
I'm down in the hard stuff tonight. I need my trace elements. So yeah. Well, we've got a lot of news tonight. Let's get to it and see if we can knock this show off within the hour time frame that we have laid out for us. The first story we have tonight is about some superchargers that are linked to a convenience chain called Wawa. W-A-W-A. And Wawa basically is, I would say, northeast, central, and southeast is their area of operation. And I know this for a fact because when I was in Florida, I charged at a Wawa. So that was in Orlando. So that was one of the only ones that were in close proximity to the amusement world called Orlando, Florida. Was there filling up one evening when I was on vacation. But Wawa has, at this point, about 16 locations that have superchargers. And according to this article, they indicate that they're going to be doubling up to 32 in the next couple of years. So obviously the connection with Tesla is working well for them because they're going to double up on the amount of Wawas that are going to have superchargers. And another one that I had been to in Florida as well was the one at Pinellas Park, which is over Tampa side. And that was kind of interesting because they had it out back. I believe there was 8 units at that particular location. And they were right beside a McLaren dealership, which was kind of neat.
because we were vacationing in Tampa area and went to the Wawa to fill up, and we noticed there was a huge car show on that Sunday for whatever reason, and the McLarens and Jaguars and Teslas were all out in force at this Cars and Coffee event that was happening at the McLaren dealership right beside the Wawa in Pinellas Park. So
I'll say that I really love this, that at least somebody's picking up this baton and starting something like this. All along I've said either it should be a gas station chain that does it. If every Shell station installed, a pair of Superchargers, you wouldn't need 16 of them at every Shell station, right? All you need is like 2, because there's a Shell station on every other block. And so if the one you go to are in use, you just go down to the next one and plug in. Or McDonald's, which is, a perfect option for a lot of people. Say what you will about McDonald's, but they're ubiquitous. And if each McDonald's had 2 or 4 Superchargers, and you could stop and plug in and pee and get a drink and use the free Wi-Fi until your car was charged and go back out and go, it would be, you wouldn't even think about it. Just like you do with an internal combustion gasoline powered car these days, you don't think about it when you go on a trip. You don't plan out every single gas station that you're going to go to along the way. You could do the same thing. Okay, Russell does. but
no, I don't. I'm lying.
It would be really, to me, even though I think range anxiety is becoming a thing of the past, it is still a concern. When you talk to people about electric cars, they want to know, where do you charge? And if my answer was, doesn't matter, you can just get in your car and go, you can stop anywhere. Every Shell station has Superchargers and every McDonald's has Superchargers. You don't really have to worry about it. The conversation's done. The questions about where to charge are over. And it would bring business. And it just, I think it's nice to see Wawa be smart enough to go, hey, we can attract an audience of relatively well-off people that are going to come to our store, and they're going to spend money while they're sitting here charging, and will become known as the place where everyone with a Tesla can stop and charge.
Mr. Supercharger here.
That's right. You got a few videos on that, don't you?
Yes, I do. So as Mark stated, the ones in Florida, they have quite a few at the Wawas there, and here in Virginia, they have quite a few of them at the Wawas as well. For those of you that aren't familiar with Wawa, it's very similar to if you have been to the. Every time I want to say the name of this chain, I always forget their name. Sheetz in North Carolina, and same concept, except unlike Sheetz, they actually have a vegetarian, hot, ready-to-eat options on their menu, which is nice. And they're clean. They're 24 hours, and like Dr. Evan was saying, that they know that they've got a captive audience right there. They've got anywhere from 4 to 35, well, not 35, 36 owners just stuck there for 15 minutes to an hour, depending on how much of a buffer they decide they want over what the car tells them to do. I like to roll in with 5% in the summer, 10% in the winter, but a lot of people aren't that they aren't that trusting with the vehicle yet, so they want a 20% buffer, 30% buffer when they get there, so they'll be there for a while.
And I don't want to blow our story later about Las Vegas, but it's the Superchargers there have given us a clue as to what's possible with preventing these spots from being iced. And there's, it'd be very simple if there was a way for the car to broadcast a simple signal through the home link or Bluetooth from your phone or Bluetooth from, or I don't know, something from the car, that there was a small stopper that popped up. And when you wanted to supercharge, you pulled up, you hit a button that says, I'm here to supercharge. It lowers the block, you pull in, you charge, you pull out, the block comes back up. And if these were in enough places, installing just a couple stalls, they wouldn't be iced, even though these are busy locations, and it'd be great.
That would be like the ones that we saw in Singapore and China, right?
Right, exactly.
Yep.
I I think the only thing I want to reinforce here is that the Wawa is a good choice, and I'm
Great
not.
choice.
As far as like a convenience store, it's that new generation of big, clean, lots of cool things. They make fresh food there. They have pre-made food. They have restrooms. They have drinks. They have all kinds. They usually have tables around somewhere around the outside to actually sit down.
Nice.
If you don't want to sit
with cover,
in the car.
so you don't get rained on. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's that's a great choice. Not that there's anything wrong with McDonald's, because again, McDonald's is ubiquitous and that certainly works. But if I don't want to eat McDonald's,
yeah, no, I hear, but it's at the same time, even if you don't want to eat McDonald's, there's usually other stuff around, right? I mean, it's
right.
Usually, yeah.
No, your point though, Evan, was totally great. In other words, if you said there's a charger at every McDonald's, all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay.
Those things are everywhere.
Yeah, I don't need to think about it at all.
Yeah.
So to give you an idea of how well this partnership with Wawa is working out, of the videos I published with Wawa's, none of them have earned less than a 7 as far as my 7 to 10 my 0 to 10 rating. So
yeah, so they're all pretty good on the rating scale.
Nice.
Excellent. Our next story is a quick one about Top Gear in the UK. Russell, did you want to do this one?
Well, I was going to.
You were waving. Go ahead. Take it over.
No. So I have this love-hate relationship with Top Gear. Like, I think Tesla. The old Top Gear shows with Clarkson and Hammond and May, I think they're funny.
They are.
I think a lot of what they did was really deplorable and misleading and bad. But they're funny and they're entertaining, and some of the shows are just amazing. The show where they're riding mopeds or scooters through Vietnam is brilliant. It's a wonderful show. But this is sort of the danger of like, hey, it's the funny haha show that's entertaining, it's popular, and I'm going to this show for information.
Yeah.
And especially when you had the old trio, Clarkson especially hated electric vehicles, and Tesla was dumb enough to sue them and got their ass beat. But needless to say, so when Top Gear, quote unquote, publishes a Tesla Model 3 versus Hyundai Kona versus BMW 330i, it's like a 20 paragraph story that's divided up into 10 separate pages, so you double click on all their advertising.
Right.
And if I said that the content was equal to the setting, I would be very generous. Hey, guess what? They're electric cars and they drive, and sometimes they're hard to find because they're brand new.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's what I got.
So
that's all the respect I'm giving this story.
Clarkson actually seemed to enjoy the what do you call it? The Model X. I thought it was a really funny skit, and I thought it was very well rounded and fair.
But they made it entertaining too, didn't they? Like it was like an entertainment piece.
If they had done the Roadster that way, I bet Elon would have loved them rather than sued them.
Yeah.
So
that's all I got.
Well, we will put the link in the show notes, and if you want to check it out, you can certainly do so as well.
Or I could just come over to your house and slap you in the head.
Well, that could happen anyways, so you never know.
Good point.
Our next from experience.
Yeah,
exactly.
Exactly. Our next story is a little bit of an add-on to the Las Vegas Supercharger that we've talked about for the last 2 shows, I believe. There was and we're going to try some new technology here. We're going to try a screen share.
Uh-oh.
Hold your breath,
people. Hang on. Okay, I've got a Twitter feed, and it's showing. Let me back it up here. There we go. Oh,
wow.
So we've got a picture of Chris sent us this video and showed us that there's no pin reader and a gate at the Supercharger. So you have this new Las Vegas Supercharger, the one with the version 3s and the L2s. There is a new gate and a pin a pin entry screen or buttons that you have to type in. And what happens basically is when your car drives up, you can get a pin code through the screen. Yep. It tells you what pin code to type into the pin keypad, and the gate will lift, and you can go in and charge. So we've seen this at the Kettleman location to get into the building that's on site.
Right.
There's that pin code that's required. So here we've got this pin code happening for an actual supercharger to get in to charge.
Yeah, there's another one where I think they show the Wi-Fi code, and then another one like Kettleman, but not that style of, like, it's huge, where it's the same deal. To get into the lobby, the door access code is in your supercharger screen.
Okay, I'm going to switch to full screen. Does that work?
Yeah, there you go.
All right, just wanted to see. Again, we're testing today's show. Everything's a test, so
this is a test.
Please bear with us because we're testing everything. So that was kind of interesting that happened, and we'll press the stop sharing here, and we're back to the screen, and we're back. We hope is right.
Okay, well, thank you. Good night. Oh, I'm
sorry. Next story is about the 100,000 kilometer Model 3. And what's interesting about this story is that I know who owns the 100,000 kilometer Model 3.
You do?
Yes, I do. This is Rob Spetzer's car, who lives in Kitchener. And Rob was on, unbeknownst to him, he was on the Like Tesla Kim show.
Yeah.
And he didn't even know it. He had submitted some pictures to the show quite some time ago. And for whatever reason, it showed up in this particular run, and Rob's car was featured. As Kim talked about the longevity of Teslas, and brought up a segment about Model 3s and how Rob's car has now crossed the 60,000 miles or 100,000 kilometer range at this point in 14 months. So Rob's driving a lot. He actually runs with Uber, and that's probably the reason that he has so much mileage on his particular vehicle. So
they put some miles on the S, I'll tell you what.
Yeah. So and are you guys getting the picture I'm showing?
Yeah, it's coming in quite clear.
Very good. So congratulations, Rob, reaching that milestone, and we'll see where it leads you. I believe he's number 3 on the all-time mileage board for Tesla Model 3s.
Nice.
Well,
tell him to stop driving so much.
He's going to get to the end of the warranty before any of us.
Right.
So then we really get to see what happens. Once he hits 200,000 kilometers, we'll see what really happens.
But then we get to see the hacks, because the whole reason we haven't seen any on the Model S yet is so many people are still under warranty. Right. They don't want to risk it. Yeah,
exactly. So Russell's got our next story.
I do. I do. So here's a situation that's probably not going to apply to a lot of people watching the show because it's kind of specific. Yet there's a super important lesson here. So listen carefully, kids. There's a gentleman named James Salentieri in New York City. He uses a garage in Brooklyn. Park when he is at work. His apartment is just apparently 10 minutes away by foot, according to the article. And by the way, this is Simon Alvarez writing for Teslarati last week. In March of 2018, he took delivery of a long-range Model 3 rear-wheel drive. Very excited about it. And basically what Mr. Salentieri does is he drives, for some reason, his Model 3 to a garage where it's valet parked and put onto a supercharger. He works his day, comes back, gets his car all charged up, and drives away. Now, we're all familiar, right, with idle fees. Tesla introduced idle fees in 2016. They started out at 40 cents per minute, went to 50 cents per minute. Now, depending on things, it could be as much as $1 a minute. So what happened with this is because it's a valet-only garage, okay? Basically, it's not like you go in there and you can unplug your car and move it and stuff. It's there for the day. It's charging and it's there, which seems really stupid. But who am I? I'm no one to complain about this. But Mr. Salantieri found out that what had happened was previously any overcharges, Tesla just waived. No big deal. We don't care. It's okay. You're our buddy. Well, apparently that stopped happening. And in a period of a month, he accrued more than $1,100 worth of supercharging idle time charges. That's $1,147.16 for those of you keeping track of the numbers. And that's sort of where we sat. I haven't read that Tesla has waived these charges. And yes. I don't know. They did?
No, yes, this one has yet been resolved publicly.
It's not been resolved, right. And again, so the problem is there's a charger that the owner doesn't really have access to, yet the owner does choose to drive in and charge at this location.
Well, he doesn't choose to charge. He chooses to park there. They choose to charge him.
So you're saying that he could just pull in there and park and not charge?
No, it's a valet parking. You're at the mercy of the valet. They're being nice as far as they're concerned. They're being nice. They're plugging him up, filling him up. Because they have a unit.
They just don't come back to it. They just leave it sitting there charging, even though it's done.
Well, I mean, that doesn't hurt the car because the car knows to stop. But, if you're a valet and you've got all these cars coming and going, you don't have another Tesla. You've got 2 Tesla spots. You put the first Tesla in, the second one shows up, you put the second one in the other slot. And if no others show up, then you don't move the other one until the guy comes back for it. It's right. Economy of motion, especially if you own the machinery. It's not like they're getting a part of the idle fee. They only get whatever was already in their agreement.
Right. No, I get that the garage definitely isn't making bank on this.
Yeah.
I'm just questioning the owner's judgment because I'm not sure. Let's just ignore that he lives a 10-minute walk from the garage.
Well, here's the thing: before they were doing the right thing and they were automatically waiving it because he had no control over the situation other than not choosing that garage. And then all of a sudden it changed. So yes, I agree with you. At the point when it changed is when I, as an owner, would be like, "Oh, I'm not going there until they get their shit together." Pardon my French. But I can see why he would have gone there until he discovered it. It never mattered before. And like you said, whenever he gets his car back, it's full. It's short distance from home and work. Why not?
So, and I'm going to add another, again, this is a rather specialized case. This isn't going to have broad implications for every Tesla owner. I'm going to guess that Mr. Salantieri can't charge at home. And that's why he charges. Because he lives in Brooklyn. Yeah, sure, he probably has to park on the street. So charging during the day is a good thing for him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, right. Except for this idle thing. I don't.
Well, here's the thing with the idle fees. They were designed for, there were there were a handful of really, really egregious abuses of it. We had the Tesla Loop people leaving their cars on there all day, charging to 100%. We had the doctor who would go in and watch the movies, the other doctor who would go in and sleep in the hotel. Not picking on doctors, Evan.
Whatever.
We had. I was wondering where that was going.
They were just that's what they did. And then we had the guy who did the Pikes Peak run, who after he did the Pikes Peak run, he left the car there for 3 or 4, almost 5 weeks after he did the run. We don't know why. And each of these stalls has a real cost to them because real estate is not cheap, and Tesla doesn't own most of the spaces. So sometimes they're rented, sometimes they're free, but there's a hardware cost and there's the acquisition of the space, and each one that they can't cycle is not helping their cause because now they got to build another one.
Well, I would say an easy solution to fix all of this. It's just some education at the valet's management, just so they understand what they're there for and how they're to be used. I think that would be simple enough.
So,
they two things. Need it because it's a private supercharger. You can't access it except through the garage.
So a couple things. One is it seems kind of dumb that they chose to install these urban superchargers in a valet only area. That's where this went south to start with. I mean, that's, you know, so it just doesn't make sense. I mean, those are perfect locations for a typical Tesla wall charger. If you're going to install them to attract Tesla business, you don't need an urban supercharger sitting there for a valeted area that people park all day. So that you know, and Tesla has
a grocery store.
Right. Tesla has to own part of that, right? I mean, that's they should have been there in the first place. Second, I don't think it's a problem, man. I don't think there should be idle fees if you're not preventing somebody else from charging. You know, if he's paying for that spot, he's using that spot all day. Nobody else is coming in and going, "Oh crap, I was going to charge today. I guess I won't be able to now." That's not happening because there's no spot for them. I mean, they don't pay to valet there. And
even if they did, when his car is full, they know how long he's normally there. They would move his car at the end of the session, and then they put the next car on, like they have the car elevator things.
Right. Yeah, they would stack them if they needed to.
Yeah.
But they don't need to because it doesn't matter. Exactly. It's not hurting anyone.
Nobody's harmed.
So it was just a bad choice to put them there in the first place. That's where the root is. But nobody's being harmed, so there shouldn't be any idle fee.
Well, I call $1,100 harm.
Well,
no, that's what I'm saying. Because he's getting the idle fee that he shouldn't be charged for because it's not his fault that it's set up that way.
Yeah. Fair enough. Well, Evan has our next story.
He does too.
You know, and I just wanted this story so I could say the person's name. That's really the only reason. So this is one of those, oh my God, I can't believe people would do that kind of stories.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I probably would not even hesitate a second to do it. But a young lady named Amy Double D has undertaken the ultimate hack, is the story from Teslarati by Dacia Ferris. And what she has done is taken the RFID chip out of her Tesla Model 3 credit card that you use to get into the vehicle and had it implanted in her arm underneath her one of her tattoos. And so now she can just walk up to her car and she can put her arm on the car and get in, and she can start the car just by putting her arm down by the area where you start the car. And she likes it. And I don't...
God, no.
So I think it's great. I would not hesitate to do this, especially if Tesla offered like an RFID chip that was sterilized and came in a sterile package, and I could just take it to a physician, a plastic surgeon, or somebody, and have it inserted for $100. I'd do it in a heartbeat.
Are you serious?
Why not?
Well, I like it for two reasons here.
There's no downside.
You get the backup key function. So if your phone is ever on the fritz, or you go out surfing, or somebody has stolen your phone, or the battery's dead, whatever, you can just boop, boop, and the car is ready to go. Also, the way that the Tesla key cards are set up is all they are is reading a serial number. So you enroll it to the car. You say, "Hey car, serial number 7000 is good to go for you." It sees 7000. It says, "Okay, you're good for me." We start. And then if for some reason you sell the car or lose the key card, you say, "All right, 7000 is not allowed." I'm saying this works with a regular key card, whether it's in your body or not. I mean, I would like one that's like a ring. You wear it on your ring finger. That would be cool.
I'd like a watch or something.
I wouldn't have a problem with an external piece like a ring or a watch.
Yeah,
but having the key embedded under my skin?
No.
Not a chance. And then you find out that, because you can't swap the signal, right? It's linked to the car, correct? If you were to sell it, car was getting in an accident and it's been written off, you have to get the other key removed and then put a new one in?
No, you can use the same key to power multiple Teslas, because it's very much like one of the generations of the Prius, where all it's doing is reading the serial number and the cryptographic signature to make sure it's okay. So you can use the same key on your entire fleet of Model 3s.
Because
go ahead.
The woman in this story was talking about how she thought she would be able to because she already has some sort of RFID under her skin currently doing something else.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
And the thought was she could just add it to that particular one, but she found out that no, it's unique to Tesla. It cannot be reproduced by something else.
Right. So it is unique to Tesla.
So she had to embed a second device under her skin.
Right. No. So if you go to your security and then keys menu on your Model 3, you see a little X next to your keys. It tells you when they were last used, and there's also an option to pair new keys to the car. But you can repair the same key to other cars. So if she sells the car, she would just unpair the arm key and then repair it with her new one, assuming that they don't change the protocol and signal at all.
This literally is
assuming, yes.
This is literally a 2 to 3 minute procedure to put it in there.
I have another.
If you glue the skin shut or suture it, I mean it's nothing. And they do implants all the time. I mean there are contraceptive implants, and it's really not a big deal.
Those are designed to be implanted. This hasn't been ripped out of a plastic card with copper wires dangling.
And I'll give you that. And my hesitation would be just that, because because then I'd be concerned about sanitizing. But if I could sanitize it and then test it, like put it in a sterile package and then test it, make sure while it was sterile, it still worked after the sterilization process, and take that to a physician to do, no problem.
So I get that. Like
she said she had it put into a sterile module. I don't know if it's a common module that she said she did. I don't know if it was a common module that you can be comfortable with, or if it's like it's one-off deal. But she said it was too big when she initially dissolved it in acetone, I assume it was, to get the plastic away. And then she packaged it up and it was just still too big. So then she somehow got it shrunk down some more and put it into this capsule.
You guys have
got the capsule injected.
So the trick on these, and somebody else had done a video, right after the Model 3 came out, and they had done, like Casey said, used acetone and dissolved away the plastic. And if you, I'll put the picture back up. This first picture, if you notice on the chip, there's these wires coming off, and those wires were actually really important for acting as an antenna as part of the loop. So in her case, that really would be the trick. If you could just do that chip, I mean, that would be absolutely nothing procedure. The trick is maintaining enough of that wire loop antenna to maintain decent functionality through the skin and at close enough range. And so that's what I'm kind of curious exactly how she facilitated that. And in the geometry that the antenna was still able to actually do its job, because if you tighten it too tight, then it might not catch the same wavelength it was designed to. Yeah.
Well, now she has to wear a tiara everywhere she goes, because those wires from her wrist are now hooked to a tiara around her head that she has to walk around with.
Oh, she's got a long range.
Exactly. She's opened up cars up and down the street. No problem.
Who needs a key fob?
Well, I say good on you, Amy Double D. You're my hero.
So Evan's going to be starting to perform procedures next week. So get your emails ready and send them into Evan. He can help that. He can help you out with that. The good doctor will be able to help you out.
The good thing is if he is going to do the procedure, you know that somebody has tested the kit, because he just says safety first.
Exactly.
No.
The best part of this story
is your body.
Is about it.
Oh man, good stuff. Good stuff. Next story is just a continuation as well. A new video was placed on the internet about the recent Cannonball Run record that was broken on the 29th. And this, of course, let's just see if we can share this particular picture.
Whoa!
And we'll make it full screen like that. So Kyle and Matthew went out and broke the record on the 29th of July, and they posted on YouTube an actual video time-lapsed from coast to coast.
Wow.
So if you ever have interest in running the Cannonball Run from New York to Redondo Beach, California, you can now watch it in under 20 minutes and see what it is exactly like. And one of the things that was really caught my eye initially right away was this little black dot that's over the speedometer area. And I have no idea why they would black out just that little area that would show the speed of the car as they go on this record-breaking run.
It's probably connected to that blue light right underneath the rearview mirror.
Yep.
Yes, indeed. So that probably does have something to do with it. So we will also put that in the notes. If you'd like to watch the 20 or 19-minute video, please feel free to do so. It's kind of interesting to watch the scenery whiz by at such speed.
Wow.
Exactly.
That's a lot better than having something implanted in your arm.
Just a little bit better, I would say. Absolutely. Yeah.
Way better.
Another quick note. This week, Mr. Musk took to the Twitterverse, as he does pretty well on a daily, maybe hourly basis. And Mr. Musk indicated that for those waiting for an air suspension for the Model 3 in the short term, it will not be happening. Although the Model 3 was talked about having a air suspension at some point, a lot of, maybe not a lot, but a number of people certainly were holding out for that particular option. And he was asked the question directly and came back with not in the foreseeable future. They're going to stick with the coil springs and keep that for the time being. So anyone that's wanting to get a Model 3 and is waiting for that option, there's no ETA on when it could possibly happen. It still may happen, but Elon said that that's not happening in any short term at this point.
Now, that was actually the config I wanted. I wanted the Model 3 Performance with the air suspension when I had my reservation. And, I ended up with the Model X Performance with the air suspension.
Yep, and I think a lot of us that had an ideal configuration in our heads when the car became or was going to start to become available, a lot of people had to change, based on what Tesla was willing to actually put out, what they were going to produce at that time. So there's many people that took a different flavor just so they could get the car quicker than what the flavor they wanted specifically was going to take them to get. So it's
package, Obsidian Black.
Exactly.
So having just spent $650 to fix the air suspension on my wife's Model X and finding really no significant difference in ride quality or performance or anything else on my Model 3 that has conventional suspension, I have no problem with this. And frankly, it's kind of nice to see. This seems to be like a good, rational decision that Elon's making for a change to let's not make this production line any more complicated than it has to be. And I don't think there's enough people that need that to justify the change in the production line.
Yeah, it's most helpful for the towing. What happened to hers?
There was something leaked. And I don't know. I don't know enough about how air suspension works, but there was a leak, and so we got the warning. The car was fine. It never was bad enough that the car was cockamamie or anything. So they took it in and fixed the leak. While they were fixing it, they called me and they said, "Hey, do you want us to replace the pump at the same time?" Sometimes we find that they have to work really hard when there's been a leak like this to keep the suspension working. And I said, "Well, I mean, how soon is it going to go? I don't know. How much does it cost? $150. So I didn't do it at the time, and it was less. It was like 3 days, 2 days. The car was home after the air suspension fix, and the freaking pump went out, and so I ended up having to pay the $150. Fortunately, that was fixable by the Ranger, but the primary air suspension issue had to go to the service center. So, and that's 180 miles for me, and we're out of warranty. So that's kind of a pain. So I'm completely fine with.
You're fine with no air suspension, aren't you?
I'm totally fine with that.
Well, another event happened in California. We had a reuniting of the original Roadsters that showed up. This is the 10th anniversary of the Roadsters. All went to, this looks like the Design Center at Hawthorne. They got together this original group for the 10th year in a row. And our friend Dennis provided us with this picture. Dennis from Southern California and part of the Tesla Owners Club there as well. And what a sight to see all of these Roadsters in person. It would be fantastic. But and that's the one thing. I've seen a Roadster now twice in person up here in the Great White North, and what always shocked me the two times I saw one was the actual size of it. It's so small.
Tiny. They are tiny.
So small. It's like it's Mazda, convertible small. It's
smaller than that.
It's unbelievable.
It's smaller than the Miata.
Yeah.
They are
and Russell,
tiny.
For a fact too. Right?
I basically had to grease myself down, and I was sitting like it was a sausage casing. Okay, I'm driving it like this. Now I've got an enormous grin on my face, and my brain is exploded. But I'm like, it was one of the most uncomfortable vehicles I've ever been in.
They are terribly uncomfortable.
Yeah, it was amazing, but wow.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, congratulations to the 10th anniversary of these Roadsters owners that have gotten together, and hopefully many years to come.
Go Roadster.
Good. And Russell, I'm going to throw you in as the next story, and we'll keep the other one for the last story, if you don't mind.
You're going to throw me in for the next story?
I've got one more thing.
Well, I'm sorry, the last story, the one that you wanted to talk about.
Oh, yeah. You want to do that now?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So, I'm a big sound guy, just because I'm a geek. And one of the first observations I made when I was in the Model 3 for the first time, a Model 3 that had the premium sound package, is that, wow, this is actually a damn nice stereo. It is a gorgeous sounding stereo. And that doesn't usually happen accidentally. Usually that takes a lot of work, people that are sensible and made a lot of good, smart decisions. And wow, it comes together and it's really amazing. Dacia Ferris at Teslarati wrote a really crappy article today about the stereo. And I want to say it's a really crappy article because the factual misstatements that were in the original story have now just been erased and changed with no notation that was changed. That's kind of sleazy, Teslarati. But there's some interesting stuff, I guess. I don't know. I think a lot of it is sort of PR fluff. Look, the bottom line is the premium sound package of the Model 3 is very cool. Dacia writes that a fun fact from a guy very in the know at Tesla. Okay. The sound system in the Model 3 is the best we've ever tested. Okay. They hired ex-B&O, and that's Bang & Olufsen, if you're not familiar with them, a very high-end stereo company, a Scandinavian company, best known for their design, but also a very uncompromising approach to high audio quality. They compare this to a $12,000 B&O stereo system, which honestly, the $12,000 B&O stereo system in the Audi A8, it may or may not be true. I don't know. I haven't heard the thing and maybe Audi just found a way to gouge people for more money. If so, that's crazy. But there's no question that, what is it? How much is the premium sound package? Is it $3,000?
It used to be, then it went down to $1,500.
Oh, did it?
Yes. Yeah,
well,
that's part of the premium package.
It's a steal.
Yes.
But I think when my friend Dustin got his, it was $3,000.
Mm-hmm.
Even at $3,000 for me, somebody who's super music oriented, that's a hell of a deal because it's a beautiful, airy, detailed system. Now, there's some other claims in this article that get a little bit more like how they sourced speakers and amplifiers and blah blah blah, and sort of like Tesla invented the stereo. and I gotta kind of like, well, maybe not so much that, some of the claims are a little overblown. I'll just leave it at that. Bottom line is, with the new Tesla entertainment options coming to Tesla owners, an enhanced premium sound package is a good thing. If when you're watching YouTube or Netflix in your car at 240i with
garbled sound like this.
It's going to sound awesome. So
I remember one of the first shows that we did on this podcast, and Russell had told us the day that he was able to get in a Model 3 premium and was able to listen to the actual stereo, and you were raving about it. You thought it was tremendous, as you did today. But I just remember that stuck in my head before I had my car. That conversation that we had, and certainly I'm not an audiophile, but I really love the sound that comes out of that car.
File, not phobe.
So obviously I'm not that either.
So
I should actually. Oh, go ahead.
When I had the Model S, it did not have the premium sound, and I thought it sounded good. It sounded really good. And then I had a chance to sample the first version of Tesla's premium sound, and I was ruined. I could not go back into my car. Every time I turned the volume to 11 on that car, I was like, this is so weak.
Yeah,
so now, I mean, it was still a good one.
I had the premium on my Model S.
Yes.
And the Model 3 is.
It is.
Way better. So, like, I'm not an audiophile either. Like, if I can hear the words, I'm happy. But yeah, it's far and above what the premium S was.
Yeah, so I had one of my coworkers had the same one that you had, the original premium sound, and it sounded great. And then the guy who ended up getting with my Model 3 reservation, obviously at the time you could only get it with premium sound, and we sat in that, and then we sat in the S, and we went back and forth, and it was night and day. The Model 3 was hands down better. And then I got my current car with its premium sound, and it is at the same level. It has a couple more speakers because it's bigger, but it sounds exactly the same as the Model 3.
I just want to toss one other random thing in here, and this is not me trying to steal victory from Tesla at all. Again, it's not the Model 3 premium system is fantastic. Keep in mind that sound systems aren't always fantastic because they're expensive. Right. Because they're special. A lot of times it's because a sound engineer who knew what they were doing picked the right components, matched them to an amplifier that easily can power them, and then installed them in locations that make sense. That's it. You can do that with really inexpensive components and get a beautiful sounding sound system.
Then also the structural engineer, whoever does the body work, makes sure that they don't have too much rattle and background noise to complement that system.
Well, cars are a mess anyway. I mean, as far as, absolutely.
Yep.
That's all I got. Yay. Look at that. All you people who were playing the Russell drinking game, you had to take that drink just then, didn't you?
They were ready. They were pouring the shots.
Well, this week we had a visitor from Florida up to the Great White North, Tesla Latino, whose Twitter name came all the way up from Miami-Dade area and visited us in Toronto. And I was able to go out and say hello and welcome to him, his first visit for he and his wife to the country. So we went out and said hello, and I recorded this little piece here. We'll see if we can get that to show. So we got a ton of vehicles out. Nice. There was 14, I believe, total at the time of recording this. And that actually is his car, the multicolored, the wrap that he's got.
It's not a wrap. It's not a wrap.
Oh, it's a spray. That's right. It's a spray, and
plastic dip. Yeah.
And it kind of gives the car that gasoline look in a puddle. Different, which is ironic, but it gives you that look as the sun comes across it in different ways. So it was interesting. It was a great meet. Got to meet a lot of people from YouTube and others.
Did you meet the person who owns the wrapped Model 3?
The wrapped Model 3. Which one?
The purplish one that you just were talking about.
Oh, that's plastic dipped. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Is it a tall guy?
No, he's
Okay, there was one identical to it down here at a show in San Diego, and I thought, wow, maybe he got up to Canada. Okay.
Yeah. So
that's a cool wrap.
Yeah, it was very unique. And then just by chance, a story that ran on our Twitter feed today was the shop in California, I believe a shop in Florida called Signatures. Actually, there's the gentleman right there. He's got his camera in his hand.
Definitely not the same guy.
Raphael is his name.
Yep, definitely not the same
handle
guy.
is Tesla Latino.
Yeah, exactly.
Ah.
And so we had a great time. It was excruciatingly hot. And even the Floridians commented on how hot it was here in Ontario when they were coming from Florida. So that was kind of interesting to hear that they felt it was very hot as well.
Indeed.
Exactly. Well, I
have one more thing.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, so as y'all have heard me whining and complaining about, I had my Model X in for service the last 3 weeks. It was in for 1 day for the shutter re-engineering and a seat motor replacement on the driver's seat. And I see that they are improving. They're making strides to make service what it used to be. I don't know if it's ever going to be the same again, but they're trying to make sure that you don't feel slighted or other when you bring your car in for service. It's just they are still super overwhelmed. So I brought the car in, and they like Uber credits, and so they gave me a mess of Uber credits. So I told them I travel a lot, and the Uber scene here in DC is on Uber X and Uber Comfort. They are not up to Tesla standards. So I started riding Uber Black everywhere, and that brought me up to the Tesla level. And eventually I had to make a trip back to South Carolina, and I told them, look, I can't, any level of Uber can I get to South Carolina and back. And they found me a Model S from Enterprise, 75D, and I rode that around for a couple weeks, and then my car was ready. I hightailed it over to Tesla to get my vehicle back because the 75D is a very nice car, but this was one of the few cars I'd ever seen with cloth in it from Tesla. Actually, the second one. There's also a loaner car. I did find out that the 75Ds charge much lower than the 90s and 100Ds, and also the Model 3s. And they also cannot skip too many superchargers. You have to hit all of them. Yep. And but it was a blast, and it was much better than Uber. Because of where I work, I can't take an Uber into the facilities. I have to stop at the gate, and then I have to walk a mile into my office. And that was quite unpleasant. So I did a lot of angry tweeting at Elon, and then
because you had a mile to do that. You were tweeting and walking.
Yes, and but in the end, they also ended up removing my headliner and determining that yes, it was installed wrong from the factory, replacing it with the same one, and ordering from warranty a new headliner for me. And yet again, the technician had to jab out there, "Oh, you've got aftermarket equipment. You've got aftermarket equipment." I said, "Dude, it was installed so bad from the factory that the guy was able to just toss the extra cable into the gap. And the only people who have ever touched that headliner were the employee of the factory. The mobile technician who discovered the problem, it was actually the part that was most messed up. They had Velcro that attached it to the roof. And the Velcro was done in such a way that it could not stick. It wasn't like a double sandwich or whatever where you had sticky and loops. Whatever arrangement they had, it just came off at the first warm day. So he's like, "Yeah, this is wrong," and he took them out, and he said, "All right, that should be better on the first hot day," and it wasn't. And the next employee to touch it was the one who installed my Tesla alarm system. And so, I mean, they all knew that it was bad, and none of them, they all took good notes. Thankfully, all of my mobile guys took good notes and put them in there, because the technician at Charlotte's like, "Oh, he's got a dash cam. It's all your fault. Your guy broke the clips." And then the technician here, he's like, "Yeah, you have this dash cam." No, that has nothing to do with it. I think that this aftermarket equipment excuse, it violates the Magnuson-Moss warranty law, and I think that they are putting a lot of people out on that aftermarket equipment, because while I was at Tyson's, I heard 4 other customers get told, you have aftermarket equipment, we can't cover that. One of them plastic dipped his wheels, and his wheels had nothing to do with this problem. Another lady, she had window tint. I didn't exactly hear a problem, so if it's something with the windows, okay, maybe. But if it was anything else in the car, you can't blame that on the window tint. Unless they tinted the cameras, which you can't, because you have to take the cameras off to do that. And then 2 others, and I was upset by that. I didn't want to hear why they were blaming aftermarket equipment. So yeah. I get that they are saving money, but you have to obey the law. You have to prove that the aftermarket equipment ruined the vehicle, and then you can only avoid that part of the warranty. So my only 2 quibbles are this new focus on aftermarket equipment, and the Uber credits are not a one-size-fits-all. So I think that if they give the employees more leeway, I mean, I understand that that the CFO is reviewing every page of expenses, and Elon's reviewing every 10th page of expenses, but you have to empower your employees, and they're not out to lose you money. If you tell them, hey, you guys have a bonus based on this, they're going to protect it, and they're also going to take care of the customer. Some customers have unique, outstanding situations, like me with getting one from the factory with the bad headliner, and the dude with the wheels that didn't affect whatever his actual problem was. But excuse me, like I said, they are both of my last Charlotte trip and my last trip here to Tyson's. They are leaps and bounds above some of the middle trips that I had to the service centers. And you can still tell that throughout all of this, you can still tell that the employees still care about the customers and they want to do what's right. It's just that you could tell that they had external pressure coming in on them and they couldn't. And it seems that some of that is being released now.
Yeah,
I like it.
That's a good point, Casey. And maybe we can get some of our audience to let us know, maybe through our Facebook page, how their service experience has been, and see if we can get some others to comment on this. So you could find us on Facebook, the Tesla Life #1, and you can also tweet at us at the Tesla Life. And if you haven't already and you're into this podcast this long, give us a thumbs up, please. And also, if you haven't subscribed yet, please give us a number. Subscribe. Click the little bell. That's going to give you a notification whenever the show goes live. And I would suggest doing that because we're not really sure when the show goes live at this point. So we're trying to figure all that out. So it would certainly aid you to know when the show goes live. We're still going to, certainly try for our same time slot, but things may change a little bit here and there. So with that, Casey, any parting words?
Go Tesla. Keep up the good work. Keep up the Also, you can catch me on youtube.com/KCGreen. That's my channel where I get to do Supercharger reviews, among other things. And I've got some great content coming up now that my computer is back on the way. Catch me next week and see where it might be.
Very good. Where in the world is Casey? We'll debut
somewhere
next
with my
week.
Computer.
Exactly. Yeah. Evan Fusco, any shout-outs?
Well, I've got a contrary story to Casey's, but I'll save it for another time. But no, I don't have any shout-outs.
No shout-outs this week.
Glad we got things rolling here, and hopefully we can figure out how to get it going live.
Improve it a little bit more. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mr. Frost, any parting words for today? Nothing. It's not even going to say no.
You already did all the plugs, right? I mean, the Tesla Life #1 on Facebook, at the Tesla Life on Twitter, which is the heartbeat of this thing. You've got to follow the show on Twitter. Please suggest it to your friends. Yeah. Ring the bell. No, wait. No, we can't do any of that today. But that's okay. You subscribed and you got a notification when we put this show up. It wasn't live, but you got to see it first.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Instantly.
Well, let's roll the music and say goodnight. We'd also like to thank Lee Moon for providing the music and keeping us rolling with music.
Thank you, Lee.
Absolutely.
Was that music? That was a cute music.
That's working. Yep.
It was a very subtle clue.
Good night, everybody. Have yourselves a good week.